Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today we're diving into a total mystery that plagues so many of us, especially as we hit our 40s and 50s. You know the feeling, right? You're constantly just unexplainably exhausted. It's that heavy, deep in your bones fatigue that a good night's sleep just doesn't seem to fix anymore. Well, our source material today breaks down the fascinating biological reasons behind exactly why this happens. And honestly, the absolute best part of all this? The secret to fixing it isn't hiding in some expensive, exclusive clinic. Nope, it's literally waiting for you right now in the aisles of your local supermarket. Okay, let's just jump right in. Why on earth are you still tired on Monday morning? Look, I want to start by just validating this incredibly frustrating feeling. You've had the whole weekend to rest, right? You slept in, you didn't work, you took it easy, but then Monday morning rolls around and bam, you wake up feeling completely drained anyway. You're probably asking yourself why you still feel so heavy and sluggish. Believe me, it is so common to feel like you're just not bouncing back the way you used to. But here is the absolutely crucial thing you need to understand. This is not a lack of willpower. It's not some sort of mental weakness. The source material explains that when we have a huge project at work, or we're just grinding through a super busy season in life, we start cutting corners. We skip lunch, we shave off a few hours of sleep, and we end up running purely on nervous tension. And, our bodies are amazing. They're incredibly resilient, and they actually use that tension to temporarily mask our deficits. But the very second that busy period ends and we finally let our guard down to relax, all those cut corners hit us like a freight train. Your body is just out of fuel. This is a completely normal biological response to running on empty for too long. Which brings us to Section 1, the surprising suspects, vitamin B12 and folic acid. So, to really understand what's going on under the hood here, researchers pointed to a fascinating study involving about 600 Japanese people. They were looking closely at a specific blood marker called homocysteine. Now, what's super interesting is that your homocysteine levels actually spike when your body is deficient in vitamin B12 and folic acid. And the data showed a crystal clear link. Folks with higher levels of this deficiency marker were way more likely to suffer from chronic tiredness. So it turns out these vitamins aren't just background noise. They're absolutely fundamental in synthesizing the actual substances that give our brains energy and drive our motivation. But wait, here's what's really wild about this specific nutrient deficiency. It manifests completely differently depending on your gender. Crazy, right? For men, a lack of vitamin B12 and folic acid tends to show up as a really strong physical heaviness, like their bodies literally feel weighed down and severely fatigued. But for women, it often presents as a sudden, severe drop in motivation or drive. You just lose your spark. And because these symptoms look so drastically different on the surface, people completely miss the fact that they are suffering from the exact same root problem. Moving on to Section 2, the plot twist. It's about absorption, not just eating. Okay, prepare yourselves, because here is the massive plot twist from the source material. Getting your energy back isn't as simple as just swallowing a multivitamin. It's not. Let me walk you through the super delicate biological journey of vitamin B12. First, the vitamin has to be carefully separated from your food inside your stomach. Then, it has to bind itself to a very specific substance that's produced by your stomach walls. And only then, after all that, can it travel down and actually be absorbed deep inside the small intestine. It is this highly complex chain reaction. But here's the kicker. As we age, our stomach function naturally starts to decline. Or maybe you've been taking antacids for a long time. Well, that delicate chain breaks. You could literally be eating all the right things, taking all the right supplements, but the vitamins are just passing straight through you. And that brings us to this absolutely brilliant concept from the research, the gut factory. Think of it this way. Deep inside your intestines, you have bacteria that essentially act like a tiny, extremely hardworking manufacturing plant. These microscopic workers are in there actually helping to produce and process vital vitamins for you, including that all-important folic acid. But if your gut environment is rough or damaged or starved of the right stuff, that factory just completely shuts down. It goes on strike, and suddenly your body loses its capacity to receive and utilize the very nutrients you've been so diligently trying to feed it. Hearing about this firsthand really brings it all home. The gut and fermentation expert who created our source material actually shared a deeply personal struggle with this. After having a baby a bit later in life, she experienced such severe postpartum exhaustion that literally no amount of sleep could fix it. And she realized the hard way that simply eating a bunch of nutritious food just wasn't enough to get her energy back. Her gut environment had been totally compromised. It just proves that genuine gut health is the absolute non-negotiable foundation for recovering your vitality.
Take a look at this case study of a guy in his 40s. Like a lot of us, he felt his diet honestly wasn't that bad. He relied pretty heavily on takeout and generally just ate one massive meal a day to save time. Makes sense, right? But when his nutrition was properly analyzed, the results were completely staggering. He was severely deficient in almost all vital vitamins, minerals, and fiber, while simultaneously slightly overconsuming carbs and fats. You see, when you only eat once a day, it is virtually impossible to supply your internal gut factory with the steady, consistent stream of diverse materials it needs to actually function. So you are essentially starving your gut while completely stuffing your stomach.
All right, let's get practical with Section 3, your 3-step supermarket action plan. Okay, step number 1. And listen up, because this is a really critical rule, especially for anyone out there who has been trying to manage their weight while walking around utterly exhausted. You have got to stop extreme carb cutting. I mean it. Carbohydrates, like rice, bread, and potatoes, they are your body's primary energy source. If you literally starve your body of its main fuel, your motivation and your energy levels will absolutely plummet. So if those extreme low-carb diets are just leaving you feeling completely sluggish, the source highly recommends stepping back. Instead, try splitting your main energy source evenly across 3 balanced meals a day in moderate, manageable amounts. You've simply got to put fuel in the machine if you want it to run.
Moving right along to step number 2. Now, this is where we specifically target those 2 missing nutrients we talked about earlier in the explainer. Think of this as your new grocery list. To get that vitamin B12, you want to look to animal sources, okay? So we're talking clams, fish, meat, eggs, and dairy. And then for folic acid, you want to load up on green vegetables, things like spinach and broccoli, or even Japanese natto. Now, the real trick here is pairing them effortlessly. For example, you could just add some spinach to your natto, or hey, grab a convenient can of clams or even an instant clam miso soup. This absolutely does not have to be some complicated gourmet cooking ordeal. It's really just about combining these incredibly accessible supermarket items so you can hit both of those nutrient goals at the exact same time. But keep in mind, it's not just about what you toss in your grocery cart. It's also about how you consume it. To really maximize that nutrient power, there are a few practical tips you should follow. First off, folic acid is water-soluble. That means if you generously boil your spinach, all those great nutrients are just going to leak right out into the water. So a great hack is to put them in a soup and drink the broth. Or honestly, just briefly microwave or steam your veggies to lock all those vitamins in. And finally, here is a surprisingly powerful yet incredibly simple habit: chew your food well and eat slowly. Doing this drastically lessens the burden on your entire digestive system, making it so much easier for your body to actually absorb everything you're eating. And that brings us to the third and final step of our supermarket action plan. Consider this the golden rule for actually repairing that internal gut factory we were just talking about. You really have to build your gut foundation, and you do that by bringing in fermented foods and fiber. Try to make it a habit to add just one fermented item, something like natto, sweet amazaki, or even just pickles to your daily meals. Then pair that with good fiber sources like vegetables, seaweed, or mushrooms. Guys, this combination right here is literally the ultimate fertilizer for your gut factory. Over time, adopting this super simple everyday supermarket habit repairs the receiving end of your digestion. It essentially guarantees that the nutrients you're eating are actually making it all the way into your bloodstream. Section 4. When to see a doctor. Now, we have to touch on this because while diet and gut health are absolutely transformative, you do need to watch out for certain medical red flags. Because sometimes, fatigue goes way beyond what a quick trip to the supermarket can fix. If your fatigue has lasted for weeks on end and it's actively disrupting your daily life, or if you're experiencing things like shortness of breath, heart palpitations, or totally unexplained weight loss, please do not try to fix this with food alone. These can be serious signs of underlying medical issues like anemia or thyroid problems. A simple blood test at a local clinic can quickly and easily verify your exact vitamin B12 and folic acid levels. If you are dealing with these specific symptoms, seeing a medical professional needs to be your absolute first priority. To wrap up today's explainer, the source material leaves us with one incredibly crucial realization. Everyone's internal gut factory is completely different. It's unique to you. So what makes one person feel super light and energized might not do a single thing for you. The sources actually mention a quick 3-minute self-check you can do to figure this out for yourself. So before you go and radically change up your entire diet, I want to leave you with this one thought to ponder. What exactly is your unique gut type? And is your body's factory secretly starving right now?